Now, with the show that everyone's talking about, it's called Squid Game.
So Squid Game.
Squid Game?
If you haven't heard about the show, you've been living under a literal rock.
Squid Game? What's that?
Right?
많이 재미없을 거라고 생각했는데 되게 재밌는 거예요.
I can see why now it's captured the hearts of millions.
Hi. Let's talk about Squid Game. Hey, what is up, you guys? This is Steffi, aka In My Humble Opinion, and welcome back to a brand new video. I'm sorry that I've been away for a little bit, but now I am back. And today, we're going to be talking about the show that everyone is talking about, and that is Squid Game. Squid Game is a South Korean Netflix drama that was released globally on September 17th, 2021. With 9 episodes in its debut season, the series centers on the ultimate survival game. It starts with 456 players, all from different walks of life, with one thing in common: they're severely in debt. They play 6 rounds of children's games with a deadly twist. In fact, Squid Game was originally titled Round 6, referencing the 6 rounds played in the series. The players compete against one another until there is literally one person left standing to win 45.6 billion won in prize money. The creator is this guy, Hwang Dong-hyuk, who originally started writing the script back in 2008 when he was financially struggling. At one point, he even had to stop writing the script so he could sell his laptop for $675. After about 10 years of pitching and constant rejection, Netflix picked up the series in 2019 as part of their goal to include more original overseas productions. Which brings us here to the present day, where everyone seems to be watching and talking about Squid Game.
I'm gonna say I bet men are watching and women aren't watching.
Yes, Hoda, including women. What a concept.
Not everybody.
So why is Squid Game on its way to becoming Netflix's most watched show ever? I personally have a couple of reasons of my own. The first and arguably most important being that it's a really good show. And here's why. Just really quickly, I just want to say, if you are watching this video and you haven't seen Squid Game yet, I highly suggest you pause it and then watch the show and come back to this video, because there are going to be a lot of spoilers. So this is your warning. Okay, back to the video. First of all, I think it executes its tone really well. Some people have likened Squid Game to The Hunger Games, both dystopian, high-stakes competition survival stories, but maybe the more appropriate comparison would be the 2000 Japanese film Battle Royale, about a group of high school juniors who are forced to battle to the death. Like Battle Royale, Squid Game has its dramatic, emotional moments, but it heavily relies on its thriller sensibility to keep you on the edge of your seat, which is an important quality to any bingeable series on Netflix. It's that basic idea of, I need to know what happens next right now, and I can, so next episode. Where the show really excels is in its ability to build suspense. One of the earliest and most memorable "oh my god, I'm so stressed" moments is in episode 1 during Red Light, Green Light, when just as our main character, Song Ji-hun, looks like he's about to fall, the music cuts. The diegetic sounds of the crackling gravel, anxious breathing, whirring machine, and boom of the gunshot are heightened to fill the 20 seconds, I counted by the way, of silent anticipation. We are suspended in time just as Song Ji-hun is suspended from falling to the ground, with the last minute assist from Ali. And as Fly Me to the Moon cuts back in and crescendos to a big end, both men run and dive in slow motion, crossing the finish line just at the nick of time. Every image, every cut, every sound, every reveal is precise and meticulous. And that's just episode 1. Another element that Squid Game has going for itself is that it's very visually appealing. For instance, when I was watching the previews and trailers for the show, the first thing that immediately caught my eye was that colorful stairwell. In an interview for Netflix, creator Hwang Dong-hyuk has said that the stairs were inspired by Relativity by M.C. Escher. The artwork features a number of staircases interweaving and defying gravity in an attempt to disorient the onlooker, which, when you compare this with that, you can definitely see it. Additionally, I loved this idea of recreating children's games, but heightening them in some way. Whether that meant in a literal sense, from the larger-than-life playground set to this doll that now literally gives me nightmares, or emotionally, like heightening the sense of danger with the tug-of-war game or glass bridge game. From a production standpoint too, I've heard that these sets were actually built. They're all tangible, real, practical sets, which I'm sure help the actors and creative team feel even more immersed in this dystopian world. Now, another thing that I loved visually about Squid Game, and this is gonna kind of sound a little weird, so bear with me, but I actually didn't mind the violence. Obviously, hold on a second. Obviously, I don't condone violence and I don't like watching people die, but there was something about the violence in Squid Game that was artfully done. The image of the woman screaming during red light, green light, and seeing the contrast of the red blood against her skin and turquoise green tracksuit. Or how about that moment during episode 3, The Man with the Umbrella, when they're playing the Dalgona candy game and the guy breaks his umbrella. After he gets shot down and his body slides down that giant slide, the camera slowly pans up, revealing this trail of blood that has now smeared this extra large children's slide as one of the red tracksuit people ominously looks down. It's this unsettling juxtaposition of violence taking place at a children's playground. These images are a violation of our innocence. To paraphrase from this Vox article, these places that we associate with a sense of fondness, safety, freedom, and nostalgia that are lovingly tied into our childhood memories are now being tainted and smeared with fear, ruthlessness, and cruelty. When it comes to its characters, Squid Game presents us with a variety of people who have succumbed to massive debt for one reason or another. So naturally, as I was watching this show, I was taking my notes and I put down every single episode's IMDB rating out of curiosity, because I'm weird like that. And it's so interesting to me that episode 2, Hell, is the lowest rated episode of the entire series at a 7.6. A 7.6, really? But in defense of episode 2, I think this is a really important part of the entire show because it humanizes each character and makes them distinct beyond their Squid Game numbers. Like Kang Se-bio, who was established in episode 1 as a pickpocketer, when actually she's a North Korean defector who has been trying to reunite her surviving family members who are scattered in different parts of the country, her mother across the border and her younger brother at a children's home. Then you have Cho Sang-wia, who graduated from a prestigious university and seems to be a successful businessman, when in actuality, he is wanted for embezzlement, fraud, and other financial crimes. And then of course, Ali. Ali, a worker from Pakistan who was struggling to support his young family because his boss hasn't been paying his salary. Jung Dok-seo, confirmed awful human being both in and out of the game. And as for our main character, it's already established in episode 1 that Song Ji-hun is a divorced dad who lives with his mom and has a bit of a gambling problem, but his emotional stakes increase when his mom's health declines, and we learn that she has no choice but to return to work since they can't afford health care. Not only does this episode explain why the characters are in desperate need of money, but also why they genuinely feel like they have no choice but to participate in this game. And that idea ties perfectly into Squid Game's themes. At the root of the show is a story about capitalism, class, and humanity. When resources are limited, how far are people willing to go? And you know, I think we can all relate to that on some level, because need we forget last year?
The fight over toilet paper that went viral around the world.
I just want one pack. No, not one pack.
Capitalism is a system that affects everyone, no matter who or where you are. What I find so compelling about Squid Game is that all the players come from different backgrounds: gender, socioeconomic status, profession, and education level. While you can make the argument that maybe some of them were accountable for mishandling their money because of gambling or their inability to say no, isn't their inability to say no a huge reason why they're in this game to begin with? Song Ji-hun was unable to say no to playing the game at the train station, and all of them did go back a second time after having the option to completely opt out. But why can't they say no? Because they feel like they had no choice. That's how bad things are. And to me, that's the real devastating part about Squid Game. It's seeing that these people have no other option but to risk their life at a very small chance of solving all of their money problems. Money can be a sensitive topic that not many of us are willing to talk about. Sometimes we'd rather struggle behind closed doors to hide our shame, anxiety, and utter depression. Unfortunately, this is a universal and relatable feeling to a lot of people, especially after last year when so many unexpectedly lost their jobs and had to figure out how to carry on. In that sense, it really is no surprise to me that a story like Squid Game has become so popular almost 2 years into the pandemic. Now, before we continue, I just want to say a huge thank you to my friends over at Turned Yellow for partnering with me on this video. Turned Yellow is basically this company that works with talented artists who can draw you, your family, your friends to look like characters from a very particular famous show, Wink, wink. In fact, I had the opportunity to work with them myself, and hold on. Yep. Look at this. Oh wait, let me move my mic. Okay. Look at this. So this is a customized drawing from Turned Yellow, and it's supposed to be a picture of me, my mom, and my dad. They even got my Michael Jackson poster, my Whitney Houston poster, and my YouTube Gold Play button because I believe in the power of manifestation. I had such an amazing collaborative experience working with them, and I'm so happy with how this turned out. This is literally one of the coolest things ever. So if you're interested in making a customized picture for yourself or anyone else, you know, the holidays are coming up, you can head on over to turnedyellow.com and use discount code IMHO to get a 15% discount. Links, of course, will be in the description box down below. Now, stepping away from analyzing the show itself, I think the second reason why Squid Game has become so popular is because of word of mouth and FOMO, aka fear of missing out. Squid Game did not really have a lot of promotion, at least here in the United States. With the exception of some early reviews from different critics online, this was a show that organically grew from word of mouth, which is really cool when you think about it. Oftentimes, especially here in the United States, there's either a really big marketing push, or you have a recognizable star as the lead, maybe a project is somehow tied to a legacy franchise, or it's a prequel, sequel, or spin-off of an established show or movie. Squid Game is a standalone original idea with actors and actresses that have a following predominantly based in South Korea. When it comes to FOMO, do people even say that anymore? I don't know. Squid Game is the kind of show that, because so many people are talking about it, not only do you want to be part of the conversation and know what's going on, but you also want to avoid spoilers. So that makes you want to watch it ASAP and even binge through it. Which, by the way, I don't recommend you binge watch this show. I know some of you who are watching this video probably binge through it, and in that case, I have to ask, are you okay? But I think this idea of FOMO really lends itself to these original Netflix phenomenon shows, where the entire series is available to watch all at once and suddenly seems to dominate the conversation to the point where it's broken into the pop culture zeitgeist. I'm thinking of shows like Bridgerton, Queen's Gambit, Stranger Things, and even The Crown. Remember how many people became interested in playing chess last year? Or how many people suddenly became self-proclaimed royal family experts? When I posted this on my Instagram story before starting episode 6 of Squid Game, I've had this episode paused for like 15, 20 minutes because I'm so scared to see how I just can't, oh my god. And then after episode 6, I got several DMs from people telling me where they were in the series or that they started watching the show because I was watching it. And that's not because of my so-called influence girl, because have you seen my subscriber count and views? Yeah, what influence? But it's more so because everyone in the world with a Netflix account or a friend that has a Netflix account seems to be watching. To a certain extent, I'm even inclined to include Emily in Paris in this topic, but that more so stemmed from people hate watching it than it actually being good. Speaking of territories outside of the United States, let's talk about the globalization of media consumption. I know that was a bit of a mouthful, but hear me out. Now, I'm speaking from an American perspective here, but I personally believe that the internet and streaming services have made media outside of the US a lot more accessible. It's becoming more common for shows and movies outside of their origin territory to find a global audience. For instance, a show that became super popular in 2020 was the Irish teen drama Normal People, based on the book Normal People by Sally Rooney. Important to note that the book was extremely popular and was even a US bestseller, so it already had an established audience. The show was released during the pandemic, and it truly felt like at one point everyone was talking about it. The stars of the show made American late-night show appearances via Zoom, and there was even an Instagram account dedicated solely to Connell's chain. Aside from general popularity, the show also gained critical acclaim and even garnered 4 Emmy nominations, which, by the way, justice for Daisy Edgar Jones. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. Justice for Daisy Edgar Jones. If Paul Mescal was nominated, she should have been nominated too, goddammit. Anywho, based on research, aka Wikipedia, the internet's #1 most reliable source, the show was produced by Element Pictures and Screen Ireland, both Irish production companies, and distributed by the BBC, a British company, and Hulu, an American company. In terms of its release schedule, you can see here that the series was available across different days between different networks. Now, at this point, I'm sure you're asking, why do I care? Why does this matter, and exactly how does this relate to Squid Game? Well, Squid Game is on Netflix, and the Netflix approach is different. Based on this article from 2016, Netflix co-CEO and CCOs Reed Hastings and Ted Sarandos were already talking about content globalization, emphasizing their intent to invest in original content while retaining global distribution rights. In the days before streaming, the internet, and even pre-DVR, there used to be this idea called water cooler moments, which is when an important moment in a TV show happened and you discussed it the next day at your office water cooler. And because this is pre-streaming service, pre-internet, and pre-DVR, you either watched it live or you missed it. And when you consider global distribution rights, it's normal for the complete season of an American show to be shown here first before an episode ever airs in a different country. Expanding on this concept, Hastings and Sarandos were wanting to create global water cooler moments, where a show was simultaneously available across all countries and allowed everyone, no matter where they were, as long as they had a Netflix account of course, to participate in the water cooler conversation. Additionally, Netflix had this idea to produce locally and distribute globally, meaning working with local companies, shooting on location, and using the native language of said country. Following the huge success of Stranger Things, Ted Sarandos said it would be exciting if the next Stranger Things came from outside America, because historically, nothing of that scale ever comes from anywhere but Hollywood. So, as Netflix saw a rise in viewership outside of North America, they started to invest in productions in other regions, including Korea. Fast forward to September 2019, when Netflix officially announced they were going to produce Round 6, aka Squid Game. If we look at this recent chart released by Netflix, despite the fact that most of the shows here are American, 2 of the top 5 titles have ties to non-American territories. And if Squid Game does end up becoming Netflix's biggest show ever, which it probably will considering it was #1 in 90 countries, then that number increases from 2 to 3, which is more than half. One last thing before I move on. While it's great to hear that Netflix is making an effort to globalize their content, it has to be a two-way street. It's one thing for content to be accessible, it's another thing for the audience to be receptive. And in my opinion, again, American perspective, I feel like Squid Games is benefiting as a byproduct of Western countries being more open to Eastern media, and more specifically, South Korean culture. Obviously, Parasite comes to mind. That literally won 4 Oscars, including Best Picture in 2020. BTS is one of the most popular music acts right now, and K-pop in general is just super popular. And bringing it back to Squid Game, just the other day, the cast was interviewed by Jimmy Fallon. And I honestly can't conceive of anything like that happening 10 years ago. The last reason why I think Squid Game has taken off is because of social media and internet culture. The memeability, I don't even know if that's a real word, honestly, but the memeability of this show is so good. And I don't really even know what factors into something being memeable. If I had to think of one criteria, I would say it has to be easily recognizable and specific to the show, yet it can also transcend and relate to other things. Memes are essentially a shorthand way of communicating, but you have to understand the reference in order to be in on the joke. Like this meme with the Dalgona candy game and RuPaul, or this doll, which, by the way, this meme is so freaking offensive and I cannot believe the official Spice Girls Twitter account actually retweeted this. This is violent. That's a violent image. I'm not really on TikTok, but I know there's tons of Squid Game TikToks being made because they all eventually make their way to Instagram. Speaking of Instagram, this filter was really fun, but also a bit intense. With Halloween just around the corner, I wouldn't be surprised if there are tons of people dressed up in those red and green tracksuits for Halloween, and it's such an easy, comfortable costume too. Like, if I had any semblance of a social life, I'd probably wear a tracksuit. So to conclude, I guess the 4 big reasons why I think Squid Game has become the phenomenon that it is because 1, it's really good, 2, word of mouth / FOMO, 3, the globalization of media, and 4, memes. But even with all of that being said, I can go on and on and on trying to figure out reasons and theories as to why this show has become good, but as with a lot of phenomenons, it's still kind of hard to figure out exactly why certain things take off and become popular and why other things don't, especially when you're in the middle of that wave. But I'd love to know in the comment section below, why do you think Squid Game has taken off in the way that it has. So when I initially started writing my notes and the script for this video that you're watching, it wasn't confirmed yet if there was going to be a season 2. But just last night, there was an interview done with the creator where he confirmed a season 2, which doesn't surprise me because the show is so popular and I'm sure Netflix wanted another season from them. And I think the finale episode definitely left room for a season 2. Like, what happens after he doesn't get on the plane? Does he try to go back into the game? Did the brother really die? We didn't see him die on screen, and unless we see someone die on screen, there's a chance they're probably still alive. Also, does the frontman become the new host now? I mean, they are recruiting new players for another round. And most importantly, will we see this face again? I hope so. That's the end of this video for me. Those are my thoughts on Squid Game. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I think the whole Squid Game phenomenon is so interesting, and you know, if there's one show that deserves this kind of attention and fanfare, I think Squid Game is deserving. So yeah, just let me know your thoughts on Squid Game in the comments section below. If you did like this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and please turn on the notification button down below so you know when a new video from me comes out. And comment your Squid Game related thoughts. And just one more thing I want to say. I want to say thank you so much to the people over at Turned Yellow once again for partnering with me on this video. I really want to say a huge thank you to Karina and the rest of the team over there for being so patient with me. I'm sorry that this video came out late, but genuinely please do know that I appreciate this. Like, this is so freaking cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I am back now. Don't worry, I won't disappear for a long period of time again. You'll catch me in a couple of days. So that's pretty much it. As always, everything I said was just my own personal thoughts and all my humble opinion, and I will see you guys in the next one. Now the box is probably gonna fade, or no, it's gonna be smaller now. I'm not doing the whole thing anymore. I'm gonna make the box a little smaller. You can click on the screen if you want to look at any of my previous videos, even though these are a little bit old, but yeah, alright. What are you doing with the rest of your day? I don't know, or maybe it's night wherever you're watching this.